So there's this really amazing total solar eclipse coming on August 2027 that's been getting a lot of buzz. The kind of eclipse people are calling the eclipse of the century.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, just listen to that duration, up to 6 minutes and 23 seconds of totality. That's a pretty dramatic leap if we compare it to like the 2024 eclipse that only had about 4 minutes and 28 seconds at its peak.
Exactly. And while it's not quite topping the 1991 eclipse, which ran for around 6 minutes and 53 seconds, it's still going to be the longest totality we experience until right around
Ah, wow,
2114.
so that's nearly a century gap. Absolutely. It really makes you think, why is this specific eclipse getting so much attention? Is it just about the extra few minutes of darkness?
It's kind of a mix, right? On one hand, the duration is significant. It's almost like nature decided to give us a little extra time to savor the moment. And the path of the eclipse is another huge factor. This one will sweep across parts of Africa, Europe, and the Middle East.
That's a real global show. True, and I noted that while many places get to witness this astronomical wonder in full glory, a lot of the US won't actually see the total eclipse, right?
Right, most of the United States will only catch a partial view, particularly around Maine, where it'll dip in briefly. It's a bit of a bummer for American sky watchers, but it does emphasize how specific the conditions need to be for totality.
Definitely, that's a shame for some. And then there's the other upcoming eclipse on August 12th, 2026, visible in places like Greenland, Iceland, Spain, Russia, and parts of Portugal. How do you see that fitting into the larger picture?
Well, the 2026 eclipse is like a preview, a sort of appetizer before the 2027 main event. It offers a unique experience in its own right, but 2027 ups the ante with a much longer totality and a path that spans a more diverse set of landscapes.
I see what you mean. So, if you'll forgive me, I want to play devil's advocate here. Does all this extra duration really elevate the experience for everyone? Or is it more about the exclusivity of where you can see it?
That's a fair point. I think it's both. The extended totality offers a chance to really observe changes in the sun's corona and the surrounding shadows, while the limited view, geographically speaking, makes it a rare treat. It's like having front row seats at a once in a lifetime concert.
That analogy works. And speaking of front row seats, the idea of these eclipses kind of reminds me of those big global events that bring people together. It's not just science, it's a cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely. These events, especially total solar eclipses, have this almost magical ability to unite people from all over. There's something very profound about everyone stopping in their tracks, looking up at the sky, and sharing the spectacle.
Right, it's like a universal moment of awe. It makes you wonder about how much influence events like these have on public interest in science. With NASA providing all these detailed predictions and maps, it really gives certainty to these otherwise ephemeral moments, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. NASA's role is crucial. Their data not only guides enthusiasts to the best viewing spots, but also instills trust in the prediction. It's like having a rock solid blueprint for a magnificent show.
Exactly right. And yet, there's always this bittersweet element, don't you think? You have regions, like most of the US, missing out on the full spectacle, which might create a sort of divide between, say, those who can travel and those who can't.
That's a valid observation. The exclusivity of the path of totality does sometimes mean that the experience isn't universally accessible, but it also sparks debates on public engagement and even citizen science, where people in partial view zones might contribute by, comparing notes with those in the totality zone.
That's a really interesting point. And with today's technology, live feeds and streaming make it possible for almost anyone to join the conversation, right?
Exactly. Even if you're not physically under the totality, you can still be connected to the experience. It's like being part of a massive global party where everybody's talking about the wonders of the cosmos in real
Absolutely. The
time.
digital age has really changed the game. Now, shifting gears a bit, there's a historical perspective too. For example, the 1991 eclipse is often brought up in these discussions. How do you see that comparison playing into the excitement for 2027?
Well, history gives context. The 1991 eclipse set a kind of benchmark for what people expected from a truly immersive astronomical event. While the 2027 event isn't quite topping that record, its duration and geographical path make it a standout in its own right. It's like, comparing vintage wines, you appreciate the distinct qualities of each.
Yeah, that's a neat comparison. And it also makes you think about how these events, spaced so far apart, build anticipation over decades. The fact that no eclipse like this will occur until 2114 after 2027 is pretty mind blowing.
Right. It's that mix of rarity and awe that makes these events so captivating. Each eclipse carries its own story, its own set of conditions, and its own subtle nuances that make it unique.
Exactly. And then you have all this chatter online reports, predictions, even travel guides to the best viewing spots across Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. It's becoming a calendar event for many.
Definitely. And it's fueling not just scientific curiosity, but also travel and cultural exchange. Imagine communities from Spain to Egypt buzzing about their plans, sharing tips, and getting together to witness the big moment.
Yep, it sounds like a festival of the skies. I totally agree. I mean, when you think about it, these events are more than just astronomical phenomena. They're celebrations of human curiosity and the desire to understand our universe.
Absolutely. They inspire artwork, literature, and lots of social media buzz. And they serve as a reminder that even our most advanced technologies can't quite replicate the wonder of nature.
That's so true. Before we wrap up, one last thought. Do you think the hype around such eclipses sometimes overshadows the scientific details? I mean, sometimes the spectacle becomes more about the show than the science.
I see what you're saying, but I think in cases like this, the narrative and the science go hand in hand. The excitement draws people in, and then NASA's detailed data and historical comparisons educate them further. It's like the package deal of science communication.
That makes sense. Definitely. And a respectful dialogue about both the sheer visual elegance and the underlying celestial mechanics is what makes these discussions so rich.
Exactly. The dual appeal, cultural and scientific, ensures that events like the August Sound 2027 eclipse stay in our collective memory for ages.
Absolutely. So, looking ahead, whether you're a skywatcher in Africa, Europe, the Middle East, or just excited because of live streams from across the globe, it seems like this eclipse is guaranteed to be unforgettable.
Yup, in every sense, it's a call to look up and marvel at what our universe has to offer. Even if you only see a partial glimpse, it's a reminder of the splendor of natural phenomena.
I can't wait. And who knows? Maybe all this excitement will spur more interest in astronomy among those who've never really looked up at the night sky before.
Exactly. It's like a spark that can ignite a lifelong passion. In a way, each eclipse is a brief, beautiful intersection of science, art, and humanity.
Right, absolutely inspiring. Well, here's to the 2027 eclipse, an event that reminds us that even in our fast paced modern lives, nature still has the power to captivate and unite us all.
Yes, indeed. Let's keep our eyes on the skies and our hearts open to all the wonder that's coming our way. Until then, clear skies and happy watching.
Clear skies indeed.